Hello there, and welcome to the 20 podcast. It has been a while. With both of us, we have been busy, but we finally got some time to do some content of the Premier League as we've been off for the last couple of weeks. But as joining me as usual is myself, Carl, and Doug. Doug, good evening.
Good evening, Carl. Good to be back. And yeah, it has been a while, but another fascinating week in the Premier League.
Absolutely, as well. Let's kick off with some of the main results this weekend. We'll start off on Sunday's Super Sunday between Arsenal against Chelsea. Arsenal won 2-1 after using the set pieces helped the Gunners to try to increase the points gap, but Chelsea were very ill-disciplined. Doug, what do you think of the game itself? A lot of people said it lacked a bit of quality, but the set pieces kind of really helped Arsenal again.
Yeah, Arsenal, it almost seems to be like they're scraping over the line almost, but you don't really need to be saying that when you're obviously going for a title. Obviously, results matter. Um, in terms of the game, I didn't really think it was that great a game. I thought Chelsea actually gave Arsenal a lot of problems, especially Reece James's corners. Obviously that obviously led to Hansapi getting an own goal, but I thought Chelsea as a whole, obviously when they went down to 10 men, which was really silly. But I don't know. I don't know about you, but Darren England in that moment should just play on. Yes, maybe go back and send Neto off. I understand that, but Martinelli was through on goal, and could have easily scored across to like a teammate, but obviously stopped that. But yeah, Arsenal are very, very good at set pieces. We all know that, especially at corners. But Chelsea will feel a little bit hard done by. I think they were a little bit unlucky not to go away with a point. I don't know what Robert Sanchez is complaining about because the second goal is completely on his fault.
Yeah.
Because why on earth he basically wanted to convert a free kick when he's in no man's land. He is in absolute no man's land, and obviously Timber gets the winning goal there. But I think Chelsea should have had a penalty. Now I don't know about you, but I think David Raya completely cleans Jared Pedro out.
Yeah, I think it should. I think he realized he needed to cost Arsenal 3 points, and I think I would have seen looking at some of the replays, it was a clear cut penalty, and I'm surprised that Danny England did not get told by the VAR to have a look at it. It was a bit surprising with that one, but in the end. We were just talking before we came on air, before we started to record. We'll just talk about the officiating. It's just the quality's be so bad, and you can see why so much. They're very, why referees are a bit scared of making the wrong decisions. Based on how the reaction could be 24 hours after the game.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think I think there were some favourable decisions there for Arsenal. I think you've got to admit that. Again, there's potentially another sort of penalty decision where Declan Rice sort of handballs it, and obviously I know Raya saved it, but obviously I'm glad that kind of decision didn't sort of change the way that they obviously got their goal, because obviously Ansapi scores an own goal, but Chelsea were fighting right up until the end. I have to say that their discipline this season has been absolutely shocking. I think that's their 7th red.
I think it's the 9th, I think.
Is it the 9th?
Yeah.
Wow. That would obviously be all competitions. I don't think they've had 9 red. I think they've had an 8th red card in the Premier League. But yeah, their ill discipline is very, very concerning, to say the very, very least. Nice wee easy game against Aston Villa coming up for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully, we'll see how easy it is going to be as well. Yeah, no, you're right. It is a 7th red card in the Premier League season, but I think it's the 9th in all competitions. That's how bad the discipline has been completely. So,
Yeah, and another player that gets sent off against Arsenal as well.
I know, it's crazy. I don't know how Chelsea can improve that discipline, and it needs to be improved because it's because for them they could be becoming the new Arsenal with the discipline now. Where Arsenal had that history as well, so yeah, it's a huge worry for Liam Rossini and the Blues.
It is, and I like Leroy Rossini. I like what he's been, interpreting at Chelsea. I think he's certainly got them playing for sure. And they were very unlucky not to get something from the Emirates. Arsenal a little bit fortunate to come away with a win, but it's all about wins, and wins will get you the league. So, but they go to a place where they have had a bit of a sticky patch, I would say, the
Yeah,
Amex. So, I think that that game at the Amex could be a pivotal one because I think they play at the same time. I think as Man City. So
they do. Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be interesting midweek games that's coming up as well for both the top two as well. We'll come to Man City later on. Let's go to the team that is struggling now as well. And a couple of weeks ago we thought they were going to be the top, being the title contenders. But unfortunately, on Friday night, Villa's woes continue with Unai Emery's his Wolf record. I know after Wolves beat them 2-0, and Wolves surpasses Derby's record, though, which is good for them. But you see, there's a lot more fight in this Wolves side under Rob Edwards than they have, which I think people are not. I think they're down, but they're fighting in the way what they're supposed to be doing.
they're certainly down. I think you've hit the nail on the head. They're certainly down, but what they are showing is a bit of fight. And yeah, the two Gomez's scored in this game, which was very, very strange to say the very, very least.
Yeah,
But no, Rob Edwards, I think he was criticised when obviously he left Middlesbrough to obviously go to sort of his boyhood Wolves, um, but I think he's doing an all right job.
yeah,
Didn't start very well for him, obviously, but I think the fact that they've obviously gone over Derby's points threshold, they'll be very happy with that. They've got one more point now than Southampton did all of last season, so it's always a good thing to say that, but Aston Villa are in freefall. There's no denying it. They are definitely in freefall,
yeah,
and the record of Villa Park's not been great. Um, I think you're kind of seeing now the way the league is going to be. I don't think many people probably expected Aston Villa to be sort of top four, top five, maybe sixth. But I think we're kind of now seeing the struggles that Aston Villa have obviously had, and again they've got Europa League to deal with as well. So
yeah,
um, it's disappointing, but I just kind of look at Villa, and again, it's amazing Emery's not won at the Emirates. The Molineux. It is absolutely crazy how he has not won at Molineux.
yeah,
Um, but again, fair play to Wolves. They are showing a bit of fight. Yes, they're probably down. I think they're 15 points adrift to safety. I think it is now.
yeah.
So they've just they've just got to keep on playing. Keep on playing what they've been doing. I'm going to ask you this, and I did ask you this earlier in the week. Do you think they can catch Burnley?
I think there's a possible chance they can, and I think now we're seeing a bit more fight in them. Because they did have they had one win before Friday. I think there's a chance now it'll be amazed if they finish above Burnley. It'll be amazing. It'll be amazed because everyone, we all thought Wolves was going to be the bottom tier of it. Burnley, even though Burnley was showing a bit of fight after the 1-3-2 against Crystal Palace away a couple of weeks ago, but especially we'll talk about Burnley shortly as well. But in a way, I think Wolves have a good chance of catching Burnley, and I think if it'd been made to finish above them, we talked about that they were going to break Derby County's points record. It's not. I don't think it is now. It's not happening. Yeah, there's a chance. There's a chance they could finish above Burnley in that bottom three.
Yeah, I've had a feeling that they could catch Burnley, and that performance the other night kind of shows it to me as well. They've got Liverpool next, Wolves, actually double header with Liverpool coming up because obviously they got them in the league at Molineux, and then on Friday they've got them in the FA Cup at Molineux. So I don't know what the Liverpool players will be doing, because I don't really see the sort of the the choice of basically going back to Merseyside from obviously Wolverhampton.
No, I don't see that point. I don't see that point. It's a bit pointless with that.
Yeah, so I think you could. I think you might see them maybe staying overnight, but we'll wait and see. But no, fair play to Wolves, but Villa, very worrying times. I think they are definitely in free fall, and if rumours are to be suggested that they could have to sell one of their big names in the summer.
That is going to be interesting because I think Villa are probably more under pressure from PSR. I think for what I've heard from Kieran Maguire, and I think he was on the Eurolap just over a week. I think Villa are more the teams that is under really pressure that will have to under serious trouble. So it's going to be interesting that one because especially if they have to sell one big player, they have to sell someone. It's and the candidates that could be sold is Emi Martinez is one for example. Ollie Watkins is another one as well.
Yeah,
it's so there's so much decisions that Villa needs to do at the end of the season, especially now if they don't qualify for Champions League. That is going to hit them in the pockets where they have to. Yeah,
absolutely.
Right, let's move on to Liverpool's 5-2 win against West Ham. Liverpool was very clear-cut in the first half, and we should now move level on points at the time against Man United on Saturday. Goals from Ekitike in the first 5 minutes of the game. Van Dijk scored for the header. McAllister made it 3-0 before half-time until Souček, scored a goal, which slowly got West Ham back in the game until Cody Gakpo scored in the 4th minute, in the 70th minute in the second half, and Castillos in the 10th half with Disasi's own goal in the last 10 minutes of the game. But Doug, good clinical first half from Liverpool, but a little bit off in the second half, especially how West Ham really put performance in.
I think we were sloppy the whole game, to be honest with you. Our passing was very wayward. Look, I'm happy that we obviously got the victory. That's obviously back-to-back victories now against Nottingham Forest and West Ham, which is very, very good. Yeah, as you said, very clinical in the first half. Ekitike, obviously Van Dijk and McAllister, which was a cracking finish. McAllister, half volley into the roof of the net. But yeah, we went to sleep. We went to sleep at the start of the second half. Sorry. Jeff plays a great ball to Souček, and I don't know what Van Dijk and Konate are doing. I think it's maybe Gravenberch and as at fault there. But we get the 4th one from Gakpo. And then the second goal for West Ham is just shocking defending. We had nobody on the front post. I don't like zonal marking to begin with, and zonal marking is something I don't want to do. So
is that being Liverpool's Achilles probably for the because I know with under Klopp you was a bit of a hybrid, but as moving to zonal marking has been the weakness for the Liverpool back four when it comes to set pieces.
I mean, I think it's very good that we're scoring them. We went on a wee run recently that we didn't score many set pieces, but we seem to have done that bit very, very good. But it's again defending them has been our Achilles heel. And the lad Castellanos is absolutely free as a bird and heads it past Alisson. I've got to say, he did save us in this game because he did try his best to play a 1-2 with Jared Bowen, which I thought was quite funny. But he made a very good save from Castellanos. Actually, it was a low down to his near post, and he managed to claw that away. Frimpong gives us a new lease of life down that right hand side, and obviously that's where the fifth goal comes from as well. But no, very happy to get the win, and we just got to keep winning. I think we've got. I think it's Wolves, Brighton, Fulham, and Everton in our next four in the league. So
Yeah,
definitely points to be picking up for sure. But I will say though that the game with Brighton is a very, very difficult one because obviously that's at the Amex. We'll have a very good record there, but Fulham are at Anfield, and then we're the first trip to the Hill Dickinson Stadium. So
yeah,
I'm
it
looking
will
forward
be.
to
Yeah,
that one.
yeah, that's gonna be interesting. That of the first Merseyside derby at the new Hill Dickinson Stadium for both Everton and Liverpool. It's going to be interesting with that one. We'll come to Everton shortly. Let's go to the game at Vitality Stadium. It was a 1-1 job between Bournemouth and Sunderland. The Cherries extend their beating run in the Premier League to 8 games. Cats move it to 11th. But Doug, should have been a penalty earlier for Sunderland, and it was waved away with that one.
Well, I think Michael will be seething. I watched one of his streams the other day, and he was absolutely livid. It is a Stonewall penalty. I don't know what Jimenez is doing. He's nowhere near the ball. He clatters in to the back of the Sunderland player. Stonewall penalty. Don't know what Jared Gillett's doing. Don't even know what VAR is doing. So yeah, for me, that's a Stonewall penalty. Nice to see Mayenda on the score sheet though, as well. But I didn't really see this game because obviously it was sort of a 12:30, but a very, very good game. Obviously I've seen on the highlights. The decision to give a free kick to Bournemouth for their leveler is an absolute disgrace because Tyler Adams has fouled Xhaka. It's not the other way around.
No, that was a surprise in the way that the free kick. When I thought it was a Sunderland free kick, to be quite honest with you. When I watched it as well. When I watched the second half, actually, it would surprise me how much that decision went against Xhaka when he was not even at fault for it. Tyler Adams was more at the fault for it.
I like how they're sort of managing his minutes now as well, because that was Xhaka's first Premier League appearance, I think, since the Crystal Palace game way back in December, I think it was. So
yeah, they've missed him. They've missed him so much, and I think that's why the home. Listen, they lost the last two home games now against Fulham and Liverpool prior to that, and I think they missed his presence completely. And I think having him back, he's been vital for the rest of the season. Now, really has been, which he's been the side of the season for them.
And obviously, their next game is Elland Road. So I no doubt if Michael's doing a preview, then I would imagine he'll probably ask you to go on.
He would have done, but I have a feeling. I think he's going to the game on Tuesday. I think he did say something about that. No, he did. I remember he was talking about he got the ballot, so I think he's going to the game on Tuesday. So yeah, on Tuesday evening. So that's going to be quite interesting with that one. So,
but Bournemouth again, a very good point. Evan Nilsson, very good goal as well. So yeah, draw was probably a fair result in the end.
It's going to be interesting running between between 7th and 10th position, because Bournemouth could still make a late run for the European spots, especially. So that's going to be it's all to play for as well. Let's go to another team that is also vying for a European spot. Is actually Everton beating Newcastle 3-2 at St James's Park. And Doug, we've got to start with the first question. Well, two questions. Does Newcastle need to bring a new goalkeeper in? Yes, they had the Aaron Nick Pope and Aaron Ramsdale, but it's in seriousness. What do they need to do now if anyhow future's on the line now, because Newcastle are now down in 12th and it's not been a good season for them? The quality's dropped so much. Do they need to bring in a new goalkeeper now?
100%. I think the Nick Pope versus Jordan Pickford argument is over. I mean, I'll come to Pickford's, which was an unbelievable save, to say the very, very least. But Newcastle are just so poor at the moment. I think that's the first time since the Steve Bruce days that they've lost 3 at home
Yeah,
in a row. Um, but quite simply, Eddie Howe's made some very, very strange decisions this season.
I think more to his tactics and the way he's positioned some of the players as well as being
Mm.
questioned. Is being questioned now.
Like you bring in Voltimada for like a striker, but then you make him midfield in the Champions League.
Well, for what I've been told, he can play behind number 10, that behind the striker. That's always been, for what I've been told, it's been his other natural position, but
Mm.
it's not been working as much. And and he played Anthony Gordon up front. That's been questionable as well. So
This has been a total waste, I think, of money.
yeah,
And yes, Newcastle need a new goalkeeper. They can't go in next season with Nick Pope as their number one. I'm sorry. He's made too many mistakes this season, and that mistake for Beto is shocking goalkeeping.
yeah,
McNeil hits a shot where it's like 20 yards out. He basically pams it right back into the danger zone where basically Beto is basically waiting for the ball, and he gets to it. Shocking mistake. But the thing is, Newcastle did play well in this game, and it was just the sort of the mistakes that they made. Great goal from Bramthwaite to obviously open the scoring.
yeah.
Ramsey deflected obviously over Pickford. And then the second one I think was deflected as well. But yeah, the third, I mean, I don't think I've ever seen someone score with their bottom before.
Listen, I never did. I will say that's gonna it's gonna be in the book goal, and I will say this in knowing me what was a bit bigger American football fan. I would say this is more relatable to the butt fumble between the New York Jets and New England Patriots when the quarterback Matt Sanchez from the ball and he hit the ball was thrown by his own offensive lineman and the ball fumbled and New England took it to the other end and scored a touchdown on Thanksgiving Day in 2012. It just reminds it was I don't say it's close, it reminds me of that so much comedy there.
It was very, very comical, I've got to say. But Beto did have another chance. I don't know if you've
I
seen
did
it.
see that, yeah. He should
Yeah,
have scored, especially when those questions when Newcastle thought the ball went out and he had a chance. I thought he had a chance on 1-on-1 and he just skied it over.
I could not believe that he skied it over. Actually, he has the crossbar as well. Yeah, we'll speak about Jordan Pickford. That save from Tonali is unbelievable. I've seen people say that it's hit straight towards him. No, it's not.
No,
This is going right in the corner, and Pickford's reactions just hits it onto the bar, and obviously it goes away. Save of the season for me.
yeah,
Unbelievable save. And again, it just goes to show that he's England's number one and
yeah,
always has been. I think not his biggest fan, I'll be honest, but he's a top quality goalkeeper, and you can quite clearly see. I also think that Nick Pope's position in this England side is probably a threat. I think
yeah.
he's going to take Ramsdale and Trafford. And I this might be a bit controversial, but I think Anthony Gordon's position in this England side could be a threat as well.
If you play him out of position, it's not going to work out. And I think Thomas Tuchel will be thinking, this can, playing as a false nine, it's not what I play. And that's something, Thomas Tuchel will be thinking. And, it's questionable because you got that we know Jack Grealish is out injured now, and he will there was talks of can he get back in, and now he's out for the rest of the season. But in
Yeah,
a way, it does put Gordon under pressure, of his players being under threat now, because especially he's not been in. Despite he did well, he scored a lot against Crowd by becoming the all top scorer in the Champions League, surpassing Alan Shearer, but there's questions about his performances as well at the moment, which I think Thomas Tuchel will keep an eye on now. Not just for the World Cup, but even up to the Euros in 2 years' time, when it's been hosted across the UK and Ireland. So there's a lot to he's riding on these players. I think poor England days is done. I think it's done in my eyes. I think you can see the decline now coming now at the wrong age, where goalkeepers usually peak at this age, and but he's gone on the wrong side, and that's why I think Leeds did not consider taking him. Well, close to getting him last summer, but we decided to go with Lucas Perry. But you can see why he's declined now, and there's a proof of putting that one.
Yeah, 100%. And I just think he's made too many mistakes, Carl. I just think he's made way too many mistakes. He's made mistakes in the Champions League. He's made mistakes in the Premier League. Newcastle are just having a poor season, to say the very least. And I actually doubt if they'll get Europe next season.
It's very doubtful now. It really is. I said on Saturday with Reece and Stefan that I don't see them beating against Barcelona. Yes, Barcelona plays at high line, it can be issues, but I think Barcelona across the two legs will wipe the floor like they did in the league phase when Rashford scored twice. I just don't, and especially against a young player like Levy now scored 100 goals at the age of 18 now.
That's great. That is unbelievable. By the way, I thought Messi had good numbers when he was 18, but Lamine Yamal is just an unbelievable talent, and 100 goals at 18 is mental.
It's so mental, and that's why I think Newcastle are really going to struggle against Barcelona. I don't think they'll get beyond the last 16, and I think, to be quite honest, the got Man City in the FA Cup, I just don't think they can get through. I think the Newcastle hierarchy have to make a decision now. If you take Eddie Howe and especially now with the England job is now secured till 2028 for Thomas Tuchel, I think there's a chance that Eddie Howe will have to take garden leave and take a break until the next verbal role, or does he go abroad? It's another question he needs to discuss on if his future at Newcastle is.
Well, he's been ill as well, hasn't he? He's always had pneumonia earlier.
Yeah, I think he'll probably take a break, because I think he with him being off, he'd been ill for quite a while with pneumonia, and it's affected him. So I think Newcastle would say, look, we're going to make a change, but for you need to focus on your health. Your family was concerned, so I think that's going to eventually going to happen.
Yeah, it has to be. But Everton, very good win. They're very unpredictable, Everton. But the one thing for me, though, they are playing better away from home than they are playing at the Hill Dickinson.
Yeah, they are. Listen, when it's the first season at a new stage, it takes time. I think it will get used to quite a bit. And I think when I look at Everton's transfer policy, where they are now, I think because they spent a good decent amount of money, I think you'll see them strengthen again this summer coming. I think there's a lot more to give if they do qualify for the Conference League this season, or the Europa League. I think they have a very good chance. I think the transfer policy by the Freakson Group has been spot on this season. Yes, they had to invest, but I think now, with Darren Moyes being into, I don't know where they will. I don't know what they will do without Darren Moyes if they don't renew his contract. I think he fits that mold there. I know he signed a 2-year contract last year, but I think there will be a contract extension probably by the end during the end of the season.
Yeah, 100%. David Moyes is Mr. Everton, isn't he? He's completely transformed their fortunes, really, because they weren't going anywhere under Sean Dyche. Frank Lampard, they weren't going anywhere. So I think the fact that David Moyes has obviously came back, there's a big reason for that, and they've done very, very well. So no, credit to David Moyes, credit to Everton, and a very, very good win away at Newcastle.
Absolutely. So let's go to a couple of Sunday's games. We'll start at Craven Cottage. Tottenham Hotspur's miserable 2026 miserable continues after loss 2-1 away at Fulham, with goals from Harry Wilson and Alex Iwobi as well, with Richarlison getting the consolation in the end. Doug, we have to talk about Spurs. You asked me this on Sunday.
Yeah.
And it's a serious question. Can you see Spurs getting relegated?
I don't see where the next point's coming from.
No.
There's a stat going around that they've, barring the promotion clubs that they've got, Sunderland and Leeds, they've lost every single game, barring the last one against Everton. This is a worry. This is a big, big worry. For me, I don't think these Spurs players are up for a fight.
No.
And the manager they've got in, I don't think he's up for a fight either.
I don't know why they made that move for Eagle Tuesday, and I think I was saying this to myself, why don't bring in Harry Redknapp, but I'm now believing they should have brought in someone like Harry Redknapp, like what Celtic did with Martin O'Neill, just to go back to basics. That and it's such a huge mess with Spurs. It goes all the way back to with Ange, and it's still stuck this way, and I think. I can't imagine having a lot of empty seats in that 62-seater stadium in the Championship next season. I can't imagine that. I thought it would have been West Ham, for example, but boy, I never thought it was going to be Tottenham Hotspur with this consideration.
They're just in absolutely free fall, Spurs. The only shining light in their season is the Champions League, with the fact that they've got Atletico Madrid next, which will not be an easy game, but by the end of the match,
I bet Conor Gallagher wished he was still at bloody Atletico Madrid because I'm thinking, why am I playing out in the back four? Why am I not playing in my position?
Yeah, I don't get that. I don't get that either.
And I don't get how actually great he plays as a left back when you got a 19-year-old Brazilian you just signed as well. I think these players, Spurs players, has got no fight in them. The body language, the way they trained before that game on Sunday. It just didn't look right at all. It never looked right at all. You could tell, they just had no time to try to, to get through. Especially when we saw the other week with, True trying to get Van der Ven trying to push up high line and he was ignoring him. It just shows you that why Van der Ven, his future is under consideration because he's had to stall his contract talks, his contract extension. So it just shows you thinking, how the hell does Spurs get out of this one? If they don't get out of this one, who is making these decisions? There's no cohesion at the moment between the players, the coach, and the board.
I was speaking to a friend of mine the other day. Would not surprise me if Spurs sack Igor Tudor. Would not surprise me in the slightest. And then they're sort of back to square one. And then who do you bring in? Harry Houdini's obviously done it before, obviously, like at Portsmouth. But honestly, I just do not see where the next point's coming from. And the thing is, as well, they play Nottingham Forest at home.
Yeah.
And they're away to Wolves, I think, in this run.
Yeah, it's...
Honestly, they lose them 2 games, they're in big trouble. I think they've got to go at Anfield very soon as well.
They do as well, yeah. I think that's before.
Honestly, I'm licking my lips. I'm licking my lips with that game against Spurs.
Yeah. And I'm saying this as a Leeds fan, even going to their ground, at their ground, even though that's could be next month, if Spurs is still in this situation, I think Leeds will go in thinking we can get 3 points with this one because look at Spurs. We should have beat them at home when they were 1-2-1, and we put a good force. I just thinking, despite what's going on with Romero's ill discipline, you got the players as just body language. You got the board who have just made so much wrong decisions. And I think, I hate to say it, I think Thomas Frank was not a big club manager. He's not, and he never will be. Yeah, I think his highest stature is Brentford, and probably say up to at least Leeds or Fulham. More like that's what I would say with that one.
Yeah, but I just do not see where Spurs' next points are coming from. And again, I was speaking to a Man City fan, How they've taken 4 points off City this season is beyond me, to say the very, very least.
Yeah,
Should have just stuck with that. I can understand why Ange Postecoglou was sacked, but what you were saying on the overlap just made sense
it
completely.
does. It makes so much sense now than it ever done, because I knew he was not gonna keep himself mouth shut. He was gonna be unfiltered what he was gonna say, and I knew what he said was absolutely true. And I think it just shows you the club has got no cohesion. And it's like what you do. You're supposed to be you build a stadium supposed to be built for a big top six club. How can you be a top six club? If you can't even, yes, you won the Europa League, but you can't, but you never, but you don't, but you just have your struggles where you had, you couldn't keep up with the other clubs that are spending a little bit more and spending more on their wages to try to compete. And that's been the problem. And I have to say, it's just, I don't know. To not have a win in 2026 in the Premier League is dreadful. It's so dreadful. Into 10 league games of not winning any of the 10 games in 2026 is dreadful. It really is. I don't know.
I will say though, I know obviously you're speaking obviously about Tottenham, but Fulham, fantastic win.
Oh yeah,
They have to tie Harry Wilson down to a new contract.
they do. And I've been thinking that as well. And I was saying, and also I think Marco Silva's contract extension as well, because they're the two biggest.
Mm-hmm.
I have been told by a few sources from the Athletic, Harry Wilson has been linked with some couple of clubs across in Italy for Serie A, and I think one of them is Roma, for what I have been hearing. And it's not been surprising at all, because I think he fits that mold. And also he's been linked with a couple of Premier League clubs such as Everton as well. They need to time that contract. Leeds had the opportunity to sign him last summer, but I think the biggest one is, you've got to give Marco Silva the funds for this summer coming up.
100%. Marco Silva has been a fantastic manager for Fulham. Obviously there was talk about him potentially going to Al Hilal. That obviously didn't materialize. But the way that they're playing right now, Fulham, they're just a really, really good Premier League club now. Premier League side, Premier League proven. They're there or thereabouts. They are certainly in the mix for European football, and the first time since obviously the Roy Hodgson days that they could be back in Europe.
Yeah,
it would be fantastic. But they have to tie Harry Wilson down. They have to tie Marco Silva down. I'd even say from his goal at the week, Iwobi's goal was stunning.
Yeah, from the side foot as well. Yeah,
mm-hmm.
I think they also need to tie him down. Yeah, because he's going into his last 2 years of his contract as well. So yeah.
So no, I think it was all sort of doom and gloom at Fulham, like in the sort of January, but not really needed. Like Harry Wilson's been on form, Raul Jimenez has been on form, Iwobi's been on form.
Signing Oscar Bob was also vital as well. He's
been good. He's been good as well. So, yeah, great win for Fulham. But yeah, Spurs. I mean, we could be here all night speaking about Spurs, speaking about the problems.
Yeah,
they are in deep, deep trouble.
Yeah, absolutely as well. Today is such deep trouble. Let's go to one of the games at Old Trafford. Man United beat Crystal Palace 2-1. Man United went behind after Marcel Lacroix scored from a header. And then Man United made a fight comeback with a controversial penalty decision with Marco Lacroix was sent off with Fernandes scoring the equaliser, and then Benjamin Sesko getting the winner as well. Doug, let's look at the sending off with Lacroix. Was that a red card?
No. I can understand from the point of view that people would look at that as a goal scoring opportunity, but the double jeopardy rule. He's made an attempt to play the ball. Yes, he's obviously got a hold of him. He's obviously got a hold of him like that, but he's gone for the ball. Now, he's made an attempt to go for the ball. Double jeopardy rule should be just a penalty kick maybe a yellow card, not a red. Um,
I
but
thought,
I'm
I
not.
thought the same as well, actually. I thought the same thing.
But I am not surprised it was Chris Kavanagh they gave it.
Yeah, neither was I. I think he's been under the pressure the last couple of weeks, especially the dismal performance in the FA Cup between when he was officiating Villa against Newcastle.
Yeah, that was absolutely shocking. But what I will say, Manchester United's second goal reminded me of Beckham to Van Nistelrooy days.
Yeah.
It was an unbelievable header from Sesko. Really good header. Um, he's starting to get the goals, I think, now, where everyone was sort of looking at him and Man United fans wanted Yorker is, I think it's quite clear to see. But just ever so recently, Sesko is getting those goals and most of them being winners, to be honest.
They have been. I think the way, and I look at this, the way I'm going to look at say with Ruben Amorim and also every time out when they buy big strikers with Rasmus Højlund, especially with Sesko, they've not utilized them the way how they play, and I think that's been the issue where Carrick has just gone back to basic with the strikers up front, and I think with Sesko getting his confidence back as well. There was calls, he deserves to be in that starting lineup because yes, we have Mbemo, Cunha, and Fernandes for the front, but I think Sesko gives a different dimension, and I think that's what that was needed for a club like because you spent big money for him where he could have gone to Newcastle, and you know what? I think we're seeing him over these last 5 games. He scored 4 goals, in the last 5 games. Well, even against Burnley as well. You can count against Burnley. Probably the last 7, 8 games, he's been on good form. And I think when you give him the chance now to play at his best, then it needs to. And we thought Man United was going to have especially we didn't know what was going to happen. I thought, was his future under threat if like I said, if he was still on the Amorim towards this summer? Because Amorim would have still spent a lot of money, but I think they're now finding the players that they will have to spend big again this summer. But I think I think they have a good chance now with what and with Lamins, he's been a good goalkeeper as well. What's his situation going to be with if Onana comes back? So there's a lot of things that's going to be discussed on. But I think with Man United, I just see them getting into the Champions League this season now. I think my mind's turned up so much they will be in my top 4 for this season. I really do now. I think the way they're playing, it's like are we seeing a bit of the old Man United back? And also the big question is, what do you do with Carrick towards the end of the season? Because that's going to be a decision to make. And actually, the one thing I did like from the Man United fans, the way they had that banner out about Jim Radcliffe and about what Jim Radcliffe said he really about. And I think, and he knew when the banner was declaring MUFC proudly colonized by immigrants for what, and especially it just shows you realize that, if you play a team we've played a team of just 11 white players, it's not going to get anywhere. When you have a team of a village of people from different backgrounds, you are united. And that's something that Man United, that always was being the Man United we had players from all over the globe who have come, so that was such, a huge win that was needed after to deal with all that crap they had to go through the fans to hear that ridiculous comment from the co-owner who is not the biggest media talker. So yeah, huge win.
Yeah, very good one. I totally agree with what you said about Jim Radcliffe as well. Was a nice wee moment that actually I thought United fans did very, very well for that. Palace, look, I know we're obviously going to be speaking about Oliver Glasner. I think the only way they get rid of him before the end of the season is if they go out of the Europa Conference League, because I'm just looking at the teams in there and they could easily play Fiorentina potentially in the next round after that.
I don't see them beating Fiorentina. I really don't. I think Fiorentina are one of the favourites alongside Strasbourg in that conference league. I think Palace are nowhere near for what the quality stands for those two teams are, and I think the way the first leg the fans were frustrated, And then for what guys have said about stay humble, I'm just like, you've really are you just trying to get yourself sacked? Because the more you say, it's quite it's thinking, why you just walk away? Because he wants to, but
Yeah.
but I think Steve Parish and the Palace board are too scared to just pay him off now and you just wait till the season you don't have to pay. Just pay him off because he's gonna bring your club into disrepute, and you need to think about what you're gonna do going forward. You have got a manager out there that could come, a former player that could steady the ship, and he's out there since he's not managed England. He's there for you to take in with Sir Gareth Southgate. Take the opportunity now to bring him in so he can actually plan, try to get this team back to basics and plan for the summer.
Or are they waiting until the end to basically get Gareth Southgate a full summer? Because I think if if we're being honest with ourselves, I think Gareth Southgate's probably looking at that Palace job and thinking, I might want to go at this potentially.
Yeah, of course. We've been saying about this for weeks. That when I said it with Stefan, when we did the live breaking news about when Glasner confirmed he was going to exit, we did say Southgate would be that main favourite, and it wouldn't be surprising. But they Palace need to make a decision now or never. Do you wait till after the when they come after the international break? Especially they got to play get in a Europe conference run, or do you just do it? They got to make a decision.
They have to make a decision very, very quickly, because if they don't, then I think they're
going to get closer to that relegation battle if they don't resolve this, and they need to resolve this because this behind the scenes is not helping them at all.
I don't think they'll go down though, because I think they've got the players, they've got Sarr, they've got Wharton, they've still got obviously Mateta. I think he's injured at the moment anyway, but Strand Larson. Losing Gahey is a big blow. He's been very, very good for City. But I suppose they've still got Dean Henderson, who seems to, keep playing very, very well for them. So, no, I think I don't think Palace will go down, but I think it's more of the case of if they go out of the Conference League, then I think maybe a decision will be made then about Glasner.
Yeah, we will see. We will see on that one, mate. Because the more I talk about it, it frustrates me. You need to make a decision because this is not supposed to be this season was not supposed to happen like this at all. Where you just won your first trophy in the club's history.
Exactly.
Let's go to Turf Moor, and it was a controversial ending between Burnley against Brentford. Burnley winning 4-3 as well. Brentford took the lead. Brentford took the lead by half time. They were 3-0 by half time, but Burnley made a good comeback, Doug, and they were robbed by VAR not once but twice as well not with the offside from Anthony, but also Ashton Barnes with the handball. Was it a handball?
Rules are rules, but I'm sorry, I just do not know what a handball is anymore.
No.
Like a couple of angles looks like it hits his midriff as well. What a bloody game of football anyway. I never saw this result coming. By half time, especially Brentford were absolute control. Obviously Damsgaard getting the first one. Thiago, that is as clinical a finish you'll ever see from Igor Thiago. Third one, Shada can't miss. Obviously Coyote scores an own goal. And then they get one back from his
Jadon
Anthony. And then the third one, great header from Zayn Fleming. And then, I mean, again, it's so tight, so tight for that disallowed goal, and then Damsgaard gets the winning goal.
I think that was his first brace in over 6 years as well. Actually, he's not. Yeah,
but Brentford have been magnificent all season. I've said it for a number of weeks that they've been really, really good, and obviously Keith Andrews signed a new contract as well.
Is that a calculated risk to give him the contract extension when he's now signed till 2032 when he's on a free contract? Is that a big risk for Brentford to take, especially this is his first managerial job?
it's probably a result in obviously backing the man. It's probably a result in seeing what he's done with this Brentford side. Um, they'll probably be getting loads of interest from clubs for Thiago for sure. I think the thing is for me, and I'll ask you this question: Igor Thiago, do you think he starts for Brazil the World Cup?
I have no doubt he will. He probably will be the starter for that for the yellow shirt for the yellow canary shirt. I just see now. I think you look at why would you not? You cannot play Vinicius Junior, not with it. What he's yes, he's had a bit of a.
He's not a striker
He's
anyway.
not a striker. Who's the best? Who's the other best over Brazilian striker you could play up front? And that's something I think is questionable. I think Thiago deserves to be in that starting 11. And I think Karl actually said, I will always start players. And he did say, oh, be in a good form. And Thiago is probably going to be one of them. Because I think he's now said, look,
Is that
no one gets up.
19 Premier League goals?
Yeah.
It's incredible.
It's
Considering
incredible. Yeah.
that they've lost Vissa and they've lost Mbermo and they've still got that goal scoring accolade with Thiago, who people will forget he actually had an injury in his first season. He had an ACL in his first season, and
he did.
Everyone was like, "Oh, is he going to come back to his very very best?" He has been quite incredible this season. The amount of goals he scores. It's not really the goals he scores as well. It's more the fact of his all-round play. I honestly think I can't see any other Brazil striker starting for Brazil in this World Cup than Igor Thiago.
I agree. I 100% agree with that. I think it's inevitable. I think even though Ancelotti said none players has an automatic starting 11 other than Igor Thiago because he's proven, So yeah.
No, but I think Burnley are gone.
Yeah, absolutely. I was giving them a bit of a glimmer of hope, if they could try chase up West Ham, but after the last couple of results, I just don't see it now. I think it's inevitable for Burnley.
Yeah, and Burnley go to the Hill Dickinson next, so no reprieve for them there. But cracking game of football. And yeah, obviously VAR was very, very controversial. Were Burnley unlucky? I think in the way that they obviously came back was very, very good. But the way they played in that first half, Brentford deserved winners, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely did as well. Let's get to our penultimate game. Go to the Saturday night evening game between Leeds and Man City. Man City winning 1-0 after a goal from Antoine Semenyo just before half time. They did it without Erling Haaland, who's injured. Injured in that he was injured before. He was not in that squad because he had an injury. Leeds had a good couple of chances, Doug, but they didn't take the chances. But I have to say the controversial moment was, and there was two controversial moments. One, the late, when Leeds, handball that was late in the game, which resulted in Danny Farker getting sent off. He has not been banned from the touchline ahead of Tuesday's game against Sunderland. That's the Leeds even appealing it. But do you think it was a handball, despite when Leeds the referee decided not to intervene with the VAR decision?
First and foremost, I thought Leeds played really well against Man City. Created a couple of chances. Calvert-Lewin probably should score.
Yeah.
I think as well. Calvert-Lewin's a really, really astute signing, I think, for Leeds. He's kind of proven it a wee bit this season. People had their doubts over him. But I think you look at him and he's got all about him. I've got to say that the City goal was created really, really well. Cherky, fantastic ball to Nuri, and Semenyo obviously scores as well. But I've said this for a number of weeks. I don't know if you agree with me, but Nico O'Reilly for me has been the best left back in the Premier League this season.
Oh yeah, hands down with that one. I think he'll probably be the starting left back for the World Cup. I think he will be because I just don't see it. Yes, Lewis Hall is one of the you consider, but I think Nico Riley at this moment in time is probably will be starting at start left back at the moment.
Young player of the season for you?
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. A young player of the season. I think he's got the qualities there, and I think he's going to be at Man City. He's going to be the future Man City captain in years to come completely as well. I think it will happen as well. And the one thing I will say, though, I was unhappy with the Leeds fans booing when the Man City players, some of who are Muslim,
Yeah, I was
yeah.
going to ask you about this. Yeah. I I first when I seen the sort of the Ramadan message come up, I was like, I hope there's no, I hope nothing happens here because
But the problem is, it's not all Leeds fans have are very supposed to be listen. All the tag is all we all Leeds, aren't we? Some of them were not all Leeds, and I think that was a disappointing thing. Especially there was no one. Yes, the ball came with the announcement, but no one did. There was no one for the to announce it to tell the club. Yeah, but they should know. Everyone should know it's Ramadan, and and that's why majority of the Man City players are are Muslim. Their faith is Muslim, and it was coming to the
yeah,
sunlight as thinking right. They have to observe, like that observe. They need to to eat. They need to get something in them, especially when the sun goes down. And I was very angry with that reaction from the Leeds fans. That's not us, because I could tell you that right now. That is not how Leeds United restaurant. Leeds as a city, Leeds is one of the multicultural cities across the UK. They've had one of the longest the carnival in Europe. The Leeds
yeah.
West End Carnival for such a long time, and you're booing because come on,
It's do you know what? Do you know something? It's really good to hear you say that because, as obviously like a Leeds supporter, you'd have been very unhappy with obviously the result as well, but obviously from what happened with the the booing for Ramadan, and you're absolutely right because City, Semenyo, Marmouche, Ait Nouri, that they're obviously of African descent. One's Algerian, one is Ghanaian, and obviously one
Yeah,
is Moroccan.
Semenyo was baptized just a few weeks ago before he moved to Man City. He was baptized, so
Hmm.
But like I said, it was a horrible reaction to see from those fans. I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed to hear that, especially because I'm not on Twitter or X anymore. Because I'm on Blue Sky. A lot of the fans, at least fans I saw, were on the same side as me. I think that was disgraceful how our fans react like that, the booed like that. That's not what Leeds are supposed to be, So, and I will say this: what will happen again if Leeds did decide to play that their favorite is Muslim? Are we going to boo them when
Mm.
they have to? That's something they need to look in themselves in the mirror with that one because, yeah.
Yeah, obviously, Ramadan is obviously one of these things that happens, and you have to have respect. You have to respect it, and
Well, two of my own work colleagues who I work at my workplace, because it was one of the support person's birthday party on Sunday. What we did, they couldn't eat, so they couldn't eat because the sun was still up. But they did take some food with them once the sunlight was down. Once the sunlight was down, and I made sure to say, "You guys are eating already?" They said, "Yeah, we're all good." So that was yeah.
yeah.
So
Um, I sympathise with you with the penalty decision, but I can kind of see why it wasn't given because the players jumped. I think Nunez, is it Nunez?
Nunes, yeah.
Nunez. He's jumped. He doesn't really know where the ball sort of hit him. Um, I think it's unlucky, to say the very very least. But the thing is, we Leeds. I look at your team and obviously compared to obviously Spurs and obviously Forest. I look at your side and I think you've got a real fighting chance to stay in this league. I know you'll probably be sort of dragged into sort of a relegation battle, but the way you guys are playing at the moment, I would be very very happy with the way you're playing at the moment, and I think as well. Farke has had his critics this season, and rightly so, justified.
Yeah,
You've been one of his biggest critics as well. But I think the way he's sort of commanded himself, he's gone away. He's obviously seen that he made mistakes. He's obviously changed his tactics. He deserves a lot of credit for the way that Leeds are playing right now.
yeah,
Um, and that's what only 3 defeats in 15 now. That
exactly.
is some record for a Leeds team to go that record of obviously 3 defeats in 15. I think Leeds will be fine. I've said it for a number of weeks now. I think you'll be fine. I just don't see you going down.
I don't as well too, but you never know. But I think you look back what happened about 3 seasons ago, the way things were under Jesse March. Then we had that the manager go around under Harry Garcia and also Sam Allardyce, where it just felt like in that time when the period that time was, I think on the Harry Garcia we did have a couple of weeks, but the way we could see the goals, it was so open, and you could tell. But I think now with what Farke, and yeah, I have been one of his biggest critics this most of this season. Yeah, but the last 50 games, we've only had 3 defeats, and most have been a
Yeah,
good win, couple of wins, couple of draws, even a couple of draws away from home as well. It's been vital to get a draw against Aston Villa, to get a draw against Liverpool away at Liverpool, to beat to get a draw at Chelsea.
yeah,
There have been some credible results, and I think he deserves a lot of bit of plaudits because he has because that lead what the job he has had to deal with us with millions of Leeds fans. He's had to deal with it with the intensity, and he's dealt with it well this season. The way when
mm,
he became adaptable, so I give him credit for that, and I think there's a couple of games after before the international break, because we got Sunderland on Tuesday night, we got Palace on the 15th, on Sunday the 15th, was a huge game. And then we got Brentford on the Saturday, on the 21st of March before the international break. If we can get some points, because I think we don't have to worry about as much, because even though we've got Man United, but we got some points we can pick up against Wolves and Bournemouth before we get to the latter stages against Burnley and Spurs, and then we got Brighton to promote, and then West Ham. Where I kept thinking that if we were still in a relegation battle, that West Ham game would have been on the last day of the season, would have been the perfect one. But I just don't see it happening as much now.
no,
I think we'll be comfortable. We'll get close to the points tally now that we've defined the objects that we needed to do to try to stay above 17th place. That was our maximum target.
yeah, 100%.
Right, let's go to the last game as well to finish off. We got to talk about one of the relegation candidates, Doug, Nottingham Forest, losing 2-1 at Brighton. You know, good goal from Morgan Gibbs White, but also some other good goal. But Brighton, getting their first back-to-back win since November for the first time this season. Doug, Danny
Mm,
Welbeck getting his 10th goal. Gomez scored as well. Let's talk about Nottingham Forest first. Do you worry about them so much, especially they're still in the Europa League at the moment, and especially Victor Pereira coming, he's now lost two games straight games in the Premier League since he joined.
yeah, it doesn't get any easier with them going to the Etihad on Wednesday. So, um, yeah, I'm a bit concerned for them because I know West Ham lost 5-2 to Liverpool on Saturday there, but there were definitely signs that West Ham looked like a team that are going the way we know. They never looked like it for a couple of weeks, but they've managed to get a lot better. Nottingham Forest played well against Liverpool last week, but they can't put the ball in the back of the net.
No,
And it's sort of moments of magic that they're sort of waiting for, like Morgan Gibbs White to score. But the thing is, there was 21 seconds between Morgan Gibbs-White equalising for Forest and then Danny Welbeck scoring for Brighton. It's so poor defensively. And again, I am a bit worried for them, to be honest with you, Carl, because I look at Nottingham Forest, and yes, they are still in Europa League. I get that, but I'm very, very concerned with the way that they're sort of playing right now.
Yeah, I am as well too. I'm very concerned about them, especially, you know, as like I said, we all thought West Ham was dead and buried. We thought Forest would have been all right under Sean Dyche, but I have to say there's been a lot of worries with that, especially when you're losing your top goal scorer, who's Chris Wood has not been back in. He's not going to be back till this month, around this month now. He's going to be huge for these goals to keep them up, because he's going to have to get a lot. He's going to be struggling with some match fitness and some minutes as well, because, like I said,
too little, too late. I'm afraid, because I kind of look at Forest's fixtures, and that game against Tottenham away on the 22nd of March. Oh my goodness me! If you want a game to be one that is definitely must not draw, or must not lose, it's that one. And I just look at those two, Forest and Tottenham, and I look at Leeds. Leeds are more fight of them than Forest do. I think Leeds have got more fight than Tottenham have as well.
Yep.
And I just see West Ham getting out of it. I just see West Ham getting out of it. Quick one on Brighton, obviously. Great to see them obviously get back-to-back wins. And can we just commend James freaking Milner on 655 appearances now in the Premier League? He has obviously overtook Gareth Barry. He is out there on his own. Quite incredible. For a player who keeps himself fit, he is a great, great player. May not be a starter anymore, but he's such an important part of any squad. A very good squad player, so reliable, keeps himself fit. He has been an unbelievable servant to the Premier League. And I even remember his first Leeds goal when he was 16 years old, away at Sunderland. I can just remember it, and the fact he's still playing now at the age of 40. Kudos to him. Kudos to him. And we said it off air. We can't see James Milner not ending his career at Brighton.
No, I don't see it. I don't see his career bright. I can see him. There's going to be another Premier Club where we're looking at it thinking, can you just do one more season? Just one more season. And then you can call it on your own terms. I just, it's beyond repair. I could never see him back in a Leeds shirt again. It's impossible now. I think he deserves to go to any other club that he wants, as long as it's not Man United. but he can go to any club he wants. He doesn't need. He's got our bus. He doesn't need to finish his career at Leeds to finish for one more season. He doesn't need to do that now. I think I would have said that a couple of years ago, but maybe now I'll just let that go. Thinking no, he's a man of his own. He's and listen. I can't say any more words about him. Speeches how he's done. From 16, from when I first watched him, when I was only about 10 years old when I first watched him, and to see him continue, it's incredible. And I don't think there's going to be any Premier League. There's going to be no players going to reach that appearance record ever in the Premier League after this. I don't think there will be. I don't think it will ever happen.
I can't see it either. But, the fact that he's kept himself fit for a number of years, hasn't really had many serious injuries.
No.
So I think, James Milner's been fantastic.
Absolutely indeed. Doug. Right, let's get on with the team, showing the table in the Premier League. Arsenal are now still got their 5 point gap ahead of Man City. Man United move up to third place with Villa dropping out to fourth. Liverpool are only 3 points behind them, with Chelsea now dropping to fifth. Brentford and will say Charles can move up to six later this week as well, with Everton also not far behind them alongside Fulham and Bournemouth. And then at the bottom of the table, Wolves don't have to worry about the surpassed Derby County's record, and also Southampton's record as well. Southampton's record as well, with getting a second win. Burnley are still down. It's still on night, and now look like they might be worried about Wolves catching up to them. West Ham, despite the loss, they're still 2 points behind Nottingham Forest, and Spurs on a dismal run. And now that they're now still in 16th place, with the only teams in the bottom half getting the win was Brighton. They move up to 11th place as well, along with 11th place as well. So yeah, there's a lot to play for with the midweek stuff, Doug, and especially this week, as this weekend is the FA Cup. So yeah, it's going to be some interesting games over the next 3 days coming up.
Yeah, 100%. Newcastle Man United, I think, is the actually Villa Chelsea maybe the standout tie. Obviously, we've got a double header with Wolves coming up. Leeds Sunderland should be an interesting one. Obviously, the battle of the two promoted sides. I thought it was quite a good wee game at the Stadium of Light earlier in the season. So yeah, looking forward to that one. Brighton Arsenal. Can Arsenal, get off that sort of that wee jinx of the Amex? And you'd expect City to beat Forest at the Etihad as well. So yeah, some very interesting games coming up, I would say. And will be very interesting to see what West Ham could do. I think they're at Fulham actually, so
yeah,
they get a draw. Puts more pressure on Nottingham Forest.
It does. I think it'll put more pressure on Spurs as well.
Yeah, I do as well. I think Palace go to Spurs and win as well, because Spurs' home record, not just in the Ange days, but recently, has been absolutely pathetic.
Yeah, absolutely has been pathetic indeed. Doug, thank you very much as usual. We know where everyone can find you. Yeah, we know everyone can find you at the Dugout Football channel as well, and they can find me at the Total Levy and Horne Football podcast here on both on our stream on YouTube as well. Hopefully we'll be back on with the championship review this week on Sunday with Stefan, Michael, and Annie this weekend as well, Sunday evening, and also on Saturday, the Saturday show. We might be able, because I'm going to try to get in touch with a former SPFL scout who proposes ideas of how to restructure Scottish football. So keep an eye on that this week for Saturday as well. Appreciate that. But please hit the subscribe button on both our channels. Hit the like and subscribe, and keep an eye out for all of our upcoming content as well. And hit the hype button as well on our videos as well too. So please keep it like that. But thank you very much for everyone, and we will see you guys soon another time here on the 20 podcast with myself and Doug as well. Hopefully we'll get Michael back to do his videos as well, to get his match reviews as well. So yes, thank you very much for everyone for watching. We'll see you guys soon. Thanks for now. Goodbye from us.
Bye.